December 30th, day before New Year's Eve, and decided to have this live and talk to you guys about New Year's resolutions. I posted this video on my channel maybe a week, 2 weeks ago about how to set goals and targets for 2026, but today specifically, there was a piece of statistic. I got some data that really triggered my brain a little bit. I wanted to talk about something that's been on my mind and start this live since I haven't been here in, I guess, in a few days, maybe a week, 9 days or so. Did you know that 73% of the people who make their New Year's resolutions, they quit by the end of January, so after a month. 23% quit the first week of January, and 50% quit by the end of January. And only 10% of the people make it till the end of the year. Why is that? I have a theory. My theory is this: we start adding. Every single New Year's resolution is a new promise, and it's on top of the existing stuff that's on your plate. Maybe I have 23 items that you're working on right now, and then you make that new promise. I start exercising more, I start eating better, I quit smoking, I quit drinking, I start respecting my spouse or my kids more by being more present. That's an additional item. It's an additional to do on your list, and that increases your complexity. Every time you make a New Year's resolution, the fix would be this. So ask yourself, okay, I promised to do one more thing. What are the 2 things that I get rid of, delete, so that I can simplify my life? And I think that's pretty much the biggest reason why people fail with their New Year's resolutions. And the other thing is that you probably don't want it bad enough. So your why is not there. So that's why you don't have the energy, you don't have the drive to keep going and get the results. I fixed this by basically not making any New Year's resolutions. I don't have any 2026 plans for myself. The only thing I do is that I have 2 very extreme anchor points. I have something so far out in the future that I don't even see it. That's my no regrets at 90 principle, basically. I ask myself, what are the things I need to do today so that I don't have regrets at the end of the day? And those to me are 3 things. I have my kids as my number 1 priority. I want to be the best possible dad. If they want to hang out with me still, good, let's do it. Number 2, I want to live forever, be in the best possible shape. And number 3, I want to see what I'm truly made out of, how good I can be business-wise. Those are my anchor points. Those are my signals. And then the rest of the time, which is like 95% in my case, I focus on the daily actions. I ask myself, what's that one thing I need to do today to get better? It's all about improving. It's all about just taking little steps, baby steps to get better every day. And that's how I do it. I just say no, I simplify. I radically simplify. I outsource, delegate, and ignore so that I can focus on that one thing that truly matters. And that's pretty much my whole plan, because I believe that if you win enough Tuesdays in a row, that will take care of your 1 year and your 5 year and your 10-year plan. So focus on being better every day, and don't stare at those financial goals or those number of projects you need to nail or your revenue target that closely. Of course, it's good to have that. If that works for you, by all means. What happened to me was that it made me just too outcome driven. I was just focusing on my end results too much, and I wasn't able to get comfortable with the uncomfortable and deal with the losses. So this strategy works better for me, where I just empty my tank on any given day. I do what is required, and that's usually 1 or 2 things, and that requires exceptional ability to say just no and delete and ignore the rest of the stuff. So if you're one of those guys who believes in New Year's resolutions, don't become a statistical number and be part of that 73% group who quits by the end of January. Because like I said, the numbers are not really on your side. 23% of the people quit by the end of the first week after having made that New Year's resolution, and 50% by the end of January, so 73% altogether, and only 10% of the people make it until the end of the year, because we just keep adding, and adding. I use this t-shirt example that if you look at your closet and you have 6 worn out t-shirts and you're like, okay, I need to buy more white t-shirts. What do? You go to the store and buy 4 more so that you have 10 altogether. No, the right solution would be to get rid of 6 and maybe buy 4 or 5 that are brand new, better, so that you actually find the good ones. There's no clutter, there's no complexity, and all of that. Why is it that people are so comfortable in adding and not deleting? Because adding is safe. Deleting feels dangerous. If you think about governments, if you think about big companies, there's a champion for every rule, for every process, and for every step. There's somebody who's going to fight you like there's no tomorrow if you want to remove that thing that they just added. And that's why it's so much easier to fall in line with that. So anyhow, that's what was on my mind today. I also, by the way, today there's going to be a new YouTube video out where I talk about how not to care what other people think. And I shared this, it's a really quick, this 3-minute video where I explain basically what I do. And ultimately, I'm going to summarize that quickly here as well. You can, of course, watch that video. It's going to come out maybe in an hour or two once I'm done editing it. But I use this timeline example for that. So if you think about people who are overly concerned about what the neighbor thinks or what their family members think, you're afraid to lose the status you have gained in the society. Status comes in the form of reputation, money, or whatnot. That's what we play status games and wealth games, okay? You've been grinding for 45 years, and you're like, okay, I'm this far along. I'm 75% there. Let's put it this way. So what do you do when somebody's basically saying that, hey, instead of just trying to keep going forward on this path that doesn't seem to work, why don't you take 5 steps back? That's the same as walking back to zero. So you fight like crazy not to lose your status on that line, because other people's opinions, losing status, what is it that's going to happen to me? I'm going to lose all my money. But if you think about the most successful people, this story about Elon Musk is a classic one where he made $600 million by selling his stake in PayPal. He invested $200 million in SpaceX, another $200 million in Tesla, and the remaining $200 million in Solar City. He had to borrow rent money. So literally, he was willing to bet on himself, be willing to look like an idiot, like a fool, risk everything that he has in order to just get a restart and prove to everybody that he can make it. Very few people do that. When you so-called make it, people start playing safe. But I think the true warriors are willing to bet on themselves and just willing to walk back to zero. So if you're really, literally willing to do that, you don't care what other people say, you're willing to lose everything that you have, that's the ultimate data point in my mind, or proof that none of those opinions matter. I'm not obviously there, but if I look at my own history and how I have handled life, so to say, when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, my buddies used to go drinking a lot over the weekends, and I was not a big drinker back then. I'm still not. But what I used to do was that I kept hanging out with them maybe the first couple of hours, maybe gave them a ride to the city when they went to the clubs and whatnot. What did I do? I drove back home, went to bed, and so that I could train the next morning. So I was willing to say no to that social pressure, that I could be by myself, sit alone in that empty room with my own thoughts just to get better. Of course, I didn't look at it that way, but I didn't care about other people's opinions. And the same thing has happened so many times after that. Then the following year at 19, I moved to the States for the first time without anything. I didn't really speak English. I was just like, I had to start from scratch. And the same thing, I went against the odds. My buddies stayed behind. They had a blast in the summer, went to all these music festivals and, of course, drank a lot, partied a lot, but I was willing to be the lonely wolf. And I didn't really look at it that way back then. But nowadays, when I think about it, that allowed me to develop a pretty thick skin and be alone, comfortable. I was comfortable with my own thoughts, and I was willing to basically risk it. And the same thing with all my 3 resets as an entrepreneur, starting from scratch, is the exact same thing. So ultimately now, if I think about myself, what I've been doing is exactly that. So I'm willing to do something that's against all odds and bet on myself and be willing to lose everything in a smaller scale, of course, compared to Elon Musk. But that ultimately is the recipe, in my opinion, to a situation where you don't have to worry about what other people think, because you can live life on your own terms. And ultimately, if you're willing to walk back to zero and say, okay, I don't care, it's fine. Because in the end, I'm going to gain those crazy stories and the epic stories and the lessons anyhow. So you're gonna be fine. So that's how I look at it. It's an easy process, but you start by saying no to these obligations. So not saying yes to every single dinner party invitation, and not nodding and trying to be polite when people are commenting on your stuff or other people's stuff. Just kind of, going solo a little bit. And what you gain is just, I guess, your own acceptance. And ultimately, nobody cares. That's what I realized, that regardless of what you really do, nobody really ultimately cares, because everybody's so busy protecting their own status on that status line that they don't have time to worry about what your agenda looks like or what you keep doing. So, but that was my brief rant about New Year's resolutions and how I look at it, then followed by how to operate if you don't want to give other people that power over you as far as their opinions mattering too much in your life. Other than that, a brief life update. My health status, my infected foot that I've been talking about in the past in these previous lives, is slowly getting a little better. I still haven't done really any lower body workouts. Tomorrow is going to be the first day. I've been on antibiotics for almost 4 weeks now, believe it or not. And this infection, this bacteria in my foot has been really stubborn. And I'm hoping it's not going to flare back or come back anymore, but we'll see after tomorrow. Kind of comes and goes, but it's not as swollen or red anymore, so that's a good thing. And so it's been hard. At the same time, my tendinitis in my right knee and my frozen right shoulder have been giving me plenty of headache on the exercise front. Other than that, my content game on my business, semi-happy, I would say. I've been very consistent with the work, and going to do everything in my power to stick to this schedule of new long-form video every other day, sometimes every 2 days, or every 3 days, I'm sorry. But for the most part, day on, day off, day on type of a schedule, and with an occasional live, maybe once a week, and then a bunch of shorts. That's how I keep the attention going. And obviously, my goal is to see where I can take this coaching and education game. And for that, I need everybody, because I'm in the process of building a community, and I think we can add a lot of value in each other's lives. And I have more to come on that, but I'm still not there yet as far as having enough attention here on this channel, which is my number one step still and number one priority for 2026 as far as the content platform goes. And then going from there, step by step. Just keep grinding. It's hard, but it's supposed to be hard. What else is going on? In a week, I'm going to go to Spain again for a month. For those of you who've been following me here on YouTube, I talked extensively. Let me just adjust this a little bit. There you go. I talked extensively last month about, actually, sorry, that was in November, how I basically said intentionally no to everything else, and so I could simplify my life, and spent a little over a month in Spain by myself with my thoughts, worked like crazy. My days were pretty much about eating, training, working, sleeping, and then repeat. And I'm gonna plan on doing the same thing. I have a little bigger apartment now. I'm excited about that. It's right in Puerto Banús in Marbella, right by the harbor. Really great location. My daughter is going to come with me for the first couple of days with her friend, so that's going to be exciting. And then we're going to go from there. Then they're going to fly back, and I'm going to stay and do the exact same thing. Hopefully, be able to train. Hopefully, my foot is going to be better. My tendinitis is healed at some point, or at least better, so that I can start training legs again, and then go from there. And when I come back in February, there's going to be more daylight, and hopefully spring is almost around the corner then. Not quite, but yeah, winter is definitely not my thing. There's nobody here right now. I just wanted to do this ad hoc live and save the recording. Maybe hopefully some of you will find this useful, if useful, so to say. And that's it. Happy New Year. Like I said, it's December 30th. And I'll talk to you again in the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye.